On your feet! Get them going!
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller. Here, once again, not a pastor, priest, rabbi, yabba-dabba-dabba-doo, all that stuff, theologian even. I don't know all that much. I just know what I know, and I think what I think, and you're here to listen to me for some bizarre reason. I have no idea why. Is it because of the hair? I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know why you people listen to me at all. Good sales pitch, right? For the newbies in here. Devil's Air, what's up? Devil's Air says, hello again, Squirrel S. Miller. No, it's Mike Squirrel Miller. The Job book, maybe my annoying coworker can learn how to do, sorry, that's my bad reading, how to do the job from this. It's not job, it's Job. Because she ain't getting it and she works over half a year already. What's up, Dark Admiral March Hare and DJ Peterson? Hi, Beard S. Miller. It's just a little giddy goatee. I'm growing, sorry. My coffee's not quite doing it for me today. I don't know if I want to keep drinking it, but maybe I'll give it a couple swallows of that and then some water, and then we'll just get going. You know what I'll do? I'm going to do it backwards today. I'm just going to get into Job. I'm going to get into Job. If you guys got any questions, comments, critiques, whatever, we can go from there. But already here, Tina's here and ready to go. That means, yeah, coffee's not doing it. Try whiskey or rum. All right, so last night I had an extra. I had my nightcap. I always have my nightcap. And then I just got some gut punch news last night I'm not going to discuss online. So I had a second. I had a second one. I wasn't drunk or anything. I was just like, oh, it just put me to sleep already. Yeah, that's it. If you guys want to pray for me, I'm not going to give any specifics. But it was, yeah, it was a knock the wind out of me kind of a thing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have another one. And then my wife's like, what about your liver? She doesn't sound like that at all, but that was the tone of the... She had just watched something about someone who had liver problems or something from drinking. And I'm like, I literally have like one drink a night. And then one night I can have another one because, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, you know, just everything is in God's hands. And that's what I have to always remember. Just everything's in his hands. Ever tell you that time? I've told you that time about when my when I needed $12,000 for the IRS, like 1999, I think it was, and I was just running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to figure out ways to scrabble up some money. I even at the time PayPal was new, and they were offering people $5 for everyone they could sign up to use PayPal, right? And so I did an email blast trying to get everybody I knew to join this new thing called PayPal by this guy named Elon Musk and his brother. I don't know if you remember that. And I was like, it's, you know, everybody gets $5. So everybody, it's like a free $5. And if y'all do that, I get $5 too. And it'll be great. And everyone, nobody did. No one, nobody helped. Not a single friggin' person. My entire email list helped. And so I was like, I was just scrambling around doing that. I was trying to sell stuff on eBay. I was doing everything I could to try to scrabble up this extra $12,000 I needed because the IRS was going to start, what do they call that? Levying my thing. And I at the time, I had no idea that meant they were just going to take money out of my bank account until like randomly, like, oh, you've got $5,000 in your bank account. That's ours, you know? So, which by the way is why I don't keep any money in my bank account, because the IRS can get into your bank account. Keep your money somewhere the IRS can't get it. Anyhow, the point is, out of the blue, my dad calls me. And my dad was like the most frugal man ever. He was like penny pinching, never gave us nothing for nothing, right? Frugal. There's a picture of him next to the word frugal in the dictionary. Do they still make dictionaries? I don't know. But he called me out of the blue and he's like, Mike, I've been reading this book called You Can't Take It With You. I'm like, where's this going? And it's about how, you know, if you're intending on leaving money to people, that you shouldn't leave it to them in your will. You should just give it to them while you're still alive, so you can enjoy them using it and, you know, enjoy them getting it while you're still alive. Because you're not going to enjoy it once you're dead. They'll enjoy it, but you won't see them enjoy it. And I believe the IRS maximum annual, I don't know if it's annual or lifetime gift, again, frugal, right? He only wanted to do as much as he could get away with tax-free. I think it was $12,000. So he said, I'm sending you a check for $12,000. And I'm like, all I had to do was give it up. But I missed that. I skipped that part of the story where I just gave it up. I was like, all right, Lord, I can't handle this. I'm going to let you handle it. And boom, my dad calls the next day with $12,000. He gave my brother $12,000 too. It wasn't just me. For him, it was like everybody. But for me, it was the exact amount of money I needed to pay the IRS. And so he sent me the check and I just sent it to the IRS. And that was one of the friggin', one of those just amazing. I never told anybody. I wasn't going around telling people I needed money for the IRS. I never told anybody how much I needed. I wasn't asking friends for, you know, like a big thing. I was just like the PayPal thing. I was like, hey guys, do this, you know. I didn't mention that, like, hey, the IRS is gonna take out my whatever. And I didn't tell my dad. He just happened to be reading a book. And that's the thing about my dad. He was the kind of guy who, like, he would believe stuff he read. Like, if someone took the time to put it in a book, it had more gravitas than if somebody. Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be just getting in a joke. This is me squirreling for 8 minutes 26 seconds. All right, present, share screen. So anyways, that's what I try to do with situations I find myself in, is just realize it's like, look, God's got it. God will take care of it. Whatever it is, whatever the situation is you find yourself in, that I'm finding myself in, God will take care of it. So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read. About 30 years ago, my dad and stepmom gave each of us, her kids and me, $5,000 when they sold their second home. I've never heard the end of it. Yeah, my dad didn't keep bringing it up, so. And he's gone now, so he won't bring it up again. All right, Job chapter 2. Let's just get right on into it. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And once again, I just repeat what I said on the last episode, which, sorry, I skipped yesterday. It was a very, very crazy busy day. When was the war in heaven? When did it actually take place? Right? Oh, thank you, Tina. Yes, please do like, subscribe, and share if you would. Thank you very much. Honestly, I wish there was more information in the Bible about the kind of I don't want to say cool stuff. It's the war, but it is. It's cool. It's like the more of the supernatural, the heavenly host, the millennial age, the stuff that I know it's not important to our salvation, so that's probably why God doesn't press in much in the scriptures or give us much details. But man, I want to know those stories. What was the war in heaven actually like? When did it actually take place on our timeline? You know what I'm saying? It's like all this stuff that's like just the. Well, I'm sure he has his reasons for not explaining further, but so that I won't dwell on it when I'm reading Job, probably. All right. And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil, and still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. And like I said, how weird is it? Satan's literally the one that does it. In chapter 1, God puts Job in Satan's hand and tells Satan not to do whatever he wants to him. But then now God is taking responsibility for it. And I see both sides of the argument. But it's just so very interesting to me. And also, if this is in the age of the patriarchs, you notice if Abraham or Abram is alive at this time, God doesn't choose the man with the perfect, upright faith, right? If God had told Job, rise, I will make you the father of many nations, give up all you have and move to the promised land, Job would have freaking dropped everything, left his kids and his wife. Well, maybe not his wife. Left his kids, his flock. He would have left everything and just gotten up and left. But he didn't pick Job, who apparently is in the same time frame. He picked Abram, who got up, moved about 30 miles, moved in with his dad, and waited for his dad to die. The order was, get up, leave everything behind, and go to the promised land. Now. And Abraham goes, okay, I'm just going to wait here for about 30 years or however long it takes my dad to die. And then, oh, my dad's dead. Nothing left for me here. Okay, God, what was that thing you wanted me to do? Oh, yeah. Promised land. Right, I'll head over there now. It's just very interesting to me that if God wanted someone who was already upright and perfect in their faith to be the head or the progenitor of what would ultimately be the Jewish people, Israel, and the line of the Messiah, he had Job, perfect and upright and fears God and eschews evil and holds fast his integrity under any situation. But he didn't pick Job, did he? There's a lesson there. I'm not sure what it is, other than you don't have to be perfect for God to use you for amazing, incredible things. And you don't have to respond perfectly to be considered a faithful man. Abraham, considered by 3 world religions as the father of our faith, right? His faith had to be worked on for a long time before he got to the place where Job started. So don't think that because your faith isn't as strong as Job, God can't use you to move mountains. There was a lesson there. Wow, look at me. Look at me go. I'll say that was the Holy Spirit working through me because I'm not that smart. Let me close this window too because it's getting a little breezy out here in San Diego. It was raining earlier. What's up, Wrangler? Per Google AI, the Bible describes the war in heaven as happening at multiple points in time, including the beginning of time, the crucifixion of Jesus, and at the end of time. I don't. So I'm referring to the time the war in heaven happened and a third of the angels were cast out of heaven. That is my my thing. Devil's Air says demons are aware of God and know he is a thing. They shiver and bow to him. So if demons know God is real, why do atheists still doubt it? Laveau answers. By the way, Laveau, Devil's Air is an agnostic, just so you know who's on what rank here. Because demons haven't demonstrated to exist either. You have not done enough research into that. You know what, Laveau, you should be very curious about that kind of stuff. When I was an agnostic, I know you're an atheist, so you're trying to pretend like none of this stuff happens, like near-death experiences and demonic possession and stuff like that. I was an agnostic, so I didn't have a dog in that particular fight. I researched that stuff, and that's some freaking scary stuff. And you can look, you can hold on to your thing that it just doesn't really exist, but I mean, be curious, because that's some great, yeah, that's some stuff. Okay, Mike, Google AI says there is no established timeline for this event for the war in heaven. I know I know this already. All right, anyways, and shaitan, as they say in, my wife always calls him shaitan because that's the Jewish whatever. Answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea. All that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job. Who did it? Satan. It's funny because even here, Satan is saying, Lord, you touch his bone and flesh. He'll curse you to your face. And the Lord says, go ahead, Satan, you do it. Do whatever you want. You have the choice. Satan has the choice here. Satan brought it up. Satan had the choice. I don't know. This is all but God allowed it. So no more hedge. No more hedge. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. That means his head. He doesn't actually wear a crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal. And he sat down among the ashes. I want to see what a potsherd is. A fragment of broken pottery. Ugh. Oh, like a pot shard. Ah, I never looked up that word before. A fragment of broken pottery. Ooh. Ooh. Ouch. And he sat down among the ashes, and then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. But he said unto her, I know, it says friends like these because I'm going with like what's later on in the chapter, but really with a wife like that. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. So this is Job speaking that he is also attributing this bad stuff happening by God. Again, God allows it. I don't know. This is a weird thing. God allows it. Satan does it. But it was Satan's idea. but God allowed it. So because God allowed it, Job is attributing it to God, who ultimately does take responsibility because he allowed it. Makes your head spin, don't it? Levo says, I asked questions as a believer and was chastised for it every time. Gotta love the evangelicals and non-denoms. Yeah, it sounds like you went to one of those, I don't know what kind of church you went to, but I hate churches that like don't just let people ask questions. It's like the Bible says, be ready to have an answer for every question. Well, not for every question, but to every man an answer for the faith that lies within you. So you should be able to answer questions. I think maybe sometimes people are just ill prepared, or I don't want to say not that bright, but I'll just say ill prepared to answer questions. And so they don't. A lot of hand washing. I'm here for you, Laveau. You got questions? Go ahead. Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came every one from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and comfort him. Well, they're good friends in that sense, right? And when they lifted up their eyes afar off, they knew him not. They lifted up their voice and wept, and they rent every one his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their head towards heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw his grief was very great. That part right there. So you guys know David Williams' wife passed away not too long ago. And I just remember when my dad died, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I don't want you coming and consoling me and whatever. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And so maybe everybody's different. I don't know, but it seems like this reflects sort of how I dealt with it. And so like when David's wife passed away, I reached out to him and I just said, hey, to me, when I was in this kind of grief, it wasn't my wife, but it was my dad. I didn't want to talk to anybody. So I'm just going to let you know I'm here if you want to talk, but I'm not going to press the point. And so that's kind of how I was like that. I would have been like that with Ben, but Ben wanted to talk. Ben's wife died last year, so a lot of this stuff going on. Yeah, keyword if you want to talk, I'm here, but I would never press my presence on someone because of how I dealt with it. And at the same time, I don't want to assume that's how other people deal with it. Like I said, Ben, he very much wanted to talk through everything and cry with me and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't think everybody's like that. But clearly, like these guys, they kind of got it. They sat there with him and didn't say anything for 7 days and 7 nights because of how great his grief was. So at least I know I'm not the only one who's like that. Right? Right. Let's see. Let's scroll back up here. It looks like you guys are having a conversation. What's up, pure blood? Blessings to you. DJ says, curse God and die. Probably the worst advice given in the Bible. What? Explain? Really, pure blood? Why does that have to be? Cursing God kind of seems like a bad idea. Yeah, all right. Laveau says, at my Christian school, no less. LOL. I'm trying to learn. How do we learn? Asking questions is crucial. Exactly. Yeah. Look, I'm with you. I'm siding with you. And honestly, if you're, that's why I don't even like to call myself a teacher, but I'm willing to try to explain things as best I understand them, and if I don't have a good answer, I'll go look one up and see if I can find one that's the kind of the way that was my seminary. It was like arguing with atheists for just years on end for like way too long every single day on message boards. And when I got a question and I didn't know the answer to it, I would go and look up different people's responses to that question, and the ones that just didn't hold water I would not repeat, because I'm not going to sit there and try to argue some hogwash answer to something. It's got to make reasonable, rational, logical sense to me in order for me to repeat it to somebody else, not just, well, JC Sproul or whoever, I can't remember the whatever, somebody said this thing, and in my mind I know this is a horrible argument. But no, I'm here for you. You got questions? DJ agrees. True story. Sad to hear you were shut down. Amen. His friends and family met him well. Oh, you mean in the Joe? Yeah. You mean in Joe? Pure, I thought it was obvious. Okay, I just couldn't save him. Mike, I'm like that too. I just want to be left alone and work through it myself. Yeah. So, God forbid my wife ever passes away or one of my kids. Y'all just freaking leave me alone for a long time. Because I'm not going to want to talk to any living freaking person. God forbid. I'm going to start thinking about my nephew. Some of the most traumatizing years of my life, unfortunately. Yeah, that's sorry to hear that, bro. DJ, I've heard a lot of stories similar to yours, talking to Lebo. It's a problem in the church right now. Personally, I've been trying to figure out how I can help curb that. Being critical to others' questions is pretty damaging. Heck yeah, especially when you're a kid and these are the people who are supposed to have the answers. When the people who are supposed to have the answers aren't letting you ask questions, I could see how that would sour someone on whatever the institution is, right? Devil's Air says, technically it's going on. Islam is being left around 24% of youth beneath 30. Christianity is growing and around the world by about, I don't understand. What the? I must have missed that conversation. Those were good friends. When wealthy people lose their wealth, they usually lose their friends too. Good point. All other science is but 1.1 falsely so-called, both about the works of creation and the doctrines of faith. All other? Am I missing? I think I'm missing some part of the conversation. It's been a problem in the church for a long time. Curbing it is quite the task. See, that's the weird thing. Maybe the problem, I don't know. I didn't have that problem because I came up with like listening. Well, not came up. I was raised agnostic, but when I got into it sort of through the apologetics lens, right? So I didn't join a church for my answers. I went and I looked up the answers for myself. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like in our church, so I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have like a lot of perspectives from a lot of different churches, and I'm obviously there's bad churches or not very well prepped church. I don't even know how to say it. I don't know. I haven't been to seminary, so I don't know what their seminary teaches. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. Oftentimes, I will know more than the seminary, the guys at church who went to seminary. I don't know what they're teaching. But then again, I'm a lot older and I've been doing this for a lot longer. So yeah. And it's not tooting my horn or anything. It's just that I'm there with you. It is a problem anytime someone doesn't, if a pastor or a youth pastor or somebody doesn't have the answer to a question, shutting down the question isn't the answer. Finding out the answer is the answer. And I grant you, not everybody's going to know everything. I certainly don't know everything. And certainly when I started this journey for myself learning, I really didn't know much of anything. But there are answers out there. And that's kind of the place you have to be. If that book right there that I'm pointing at, I'm not going to pick it up this time, is From Outside of Time and Space, written by a God who knows everything, then there's got to be an answer for every question that makes sense, right? And if it doesn't, something's wrong. See, to me, it's like when I bring up the other atheist guys, or the the Christians or the religious people who adhere to evolution, and then the atheists can catch them in these contradictions because, yes, you're contradicting evolution, but evolution isn't real. The Bible isn't internally contradictory on this topic. The Bible is only contradictory on this topic if you try to shoehorn evolution into it. And that's why these guys can get caught in those contradictions, because they're still holding on to this fiction called evolution. When you divorce evolution from the Bible, all those contradictions evaporate. So is that the problem we keep bumping into, Mike? I don't know what you're referring to, buddy. Absolutely agree. The church might become unsavable if it's not fixed. Well, I mean, the church isn't going anywhere, dude. It's been 2,000 years. The church ain't going anywhere. However, I do think it should be. I don't know how you solve that problem other than having the idea that if you don't have an answer, find the answer. It's that simple. It really is that simple. If you don't have an answer, find the answer. I'm going to scroll down here. Levo says, granted, when I started asking hard questions, I was like 9. I was guessing my teacher was trying to keep it G-rated for me when my questions couldn't be answered. That's interesting. What were you asking at 9, young man? Have you guys read anything that wasn't off a shelf, books or library, or taught by someone who learnt off a shelf? Examples, if anyone has any. Blessings. I mean, we're in the internet age. So most people don't even read books anymore. Most people just read the internet. Rain says, not really a defense to delude yourself into fairy tale and ignore science. See, that's the thing, Rain. Evolution is the fairy tale. And I know you hate that, but it's true. I meant the institution of the church, not the church itself. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can delve a little deeper in that. I was asking about some of the abhorrent things in the Bible. Oh, like genocide and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe they wanted to keep it PG, but there's some pretty rough stuff in the Bible. You can't pretend it's not there, right? What's up, Rain? Welcome, young lady. It's true. Nice. I'm rubber, you're glue. Well, I mean, we've gone back and forth on this. So, you know, you're as intractable as I am, so there's not really any point. I mean, I'm rubber, you're glue is kind of where we're stuck at. Get it? I just got to Canaan in the book of Genesis. Canaan is the son of Ham, or is that further down the line? He's one of the progenitors. Bringing up punishment for raping a woman being she has to marry her rapist in 4th grade caught my teacher a little off guard. Yeah, what is that? What is the scripture for that? Because yeah, I know that's a, instead of Canaan, I read Canada. What do you call it? The laws of the Old Testament are very, very specifically for the Jewish people. That's not to say they're morally wrong. They're morally perfect, right? But the laws were to make the Jews a peculiar people, and sometimes they were more about the, how do you phrase it, the society than the individual. We have a lot of focus on the individual in our modern cultural context, right? So we don't do things that are necessarily great for the society, but they are great for the individual, or at least they think so. This maximization of freedom is one thing. And look, I'm a freedom loving guy. But Jesus was not a libertarian. Deuteronomy 22:29. Deuteronomy 22:29. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away for all his days. Yeah, that's actually, hold on. Let's go back up. If a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and that man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth again against his neighbor, and slayeth him, even so is this matter. That's rape. The passage right before that is rape. For he found her in the field, and he betrothed, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. So the rapist is to be murdered. I'm not murdered, executed. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, that they be found. That's the curious thing. If they be found. What does that mean? Let's look that up. Deuteronomy 22:28. Because you have to notice that in one, the rapist is to be killed. That's the punishment for raping a betrothed woman. Wait, hold on her. Is it the same word? Hold on. Let me open up another one. I just want to make sure these are the same words. Did I spell it wrong? Why am I so stupid? It's so funny how I can spell something right and then wrong 2 seconds apart. Darn it, not. I need chapter 22. All right. Okay, so in 22, it's lay hold on her and lie with her. Oh, that's the difference. All right, so in 26, it is if they lay hold on her and force her. That's rape. In the next one, it's if he lays hold on her and lie with her. Lie is sakab. Let's see what force is. Obviously, we're probably going to know what force is. And the man force her, hazak. So hazak is Strong's definition: to fasten upon, to seize, be strong, to bind, restrain, conquer. All right, and what is sakab? Sakab is where's the definition? Definition Strong's: to lie down. So one is lying down with a woman. One is forcing, conquering a woman. I think that's a pretty significant difference between the one who's to be put to death and the one who is to marry the woman. So I don't think it counts. I would not consider that rape, and I don't think anybody else probably would either. If it said force in both cases, then that would be rape in both cases. But it's not even the same word. It's a very different word. One is lying down, which is one is conquering, forcing. That's right. And yes, that if you lay down, if you have sex with a virgin in that culture, what you're doing is you are devaluing her. Virginity, and I mean honestly, it's just innate in us. There is a greater value to virginity than there is to sluts. All right, that's just the reality. Sorry if that bothers you, then I don't care. So when you devalue a woman, it's much harder to marry off what you would at that point call a wanton woman than it is to marry off your virgin daughter. And they're sorry, but that's that we were in a much different time. And I think on the whole, it was a lot better for society as a whole than it is today. Deuteronomy 22, 23 to 24. You see, this is what happens. I prove a point, and you just move on to the next point. Or why God had David's wives raped in public by his friends. That one got me sent to the principal's office. Who did the raping? And they weren't raped. Well, yeah, I guess they were kind of. I don't think it said whether or not they were willing. Probably not, though. I would think they were probably raped. But it just yeah, what was that? Absalom? God didn't. I know. It's kind of like the Satan thing, right? God will, when God allows something, he'll take responsibility for it. And even in the earlier chapter in Job, when he's saying, Satan says to God, you do this thing, but it's Satan doing it, even though before it even happens, Satan said God's doing it, but Satan's doing it. So when Absalom's doing it, but in the prophetic part, God's saying he's doing it, it's still Absalom doing it. I don't know, the whole, and I know this lends to, I'm sure Buddy will have the this is just means everything is predetermined. And God, I get it. Aristotelian pride rejected all scriptural revelation of faith about this world's beginning, affirming the eternity of the world by corrupt reasoning and vain philosophizing. Okay. Is it the point that if she was betrothed, she belonged to someone, so it's great? No, it's force. The delineator in there, I mean, grant you she's betrothed, but the delineator here is force versus just lying with a girl. And they be found. By the way, that's you also missed that part. And they be found lying together. So if you're found lying with a virgin, you guys are married. Congratulations. I think the New King James had a couple bad word translations. Look, all of them have bad translation choices. All of them. Every single one of them. English and Greek and Hebrew don't get along perfectly together. So I did enjoy, and I kind of want to do like a deepest version translation of the Bible using AI. I thought that was pretty cool. Deuteronomy is wild too. She's punished if she doesn't cry loud enough. Right. Because if you're being raped, you're crying. If you're not being raped, is that not? Look, there. It's a pretty fair ruling, right? I mean, there's rules to any court of law, right? And then the jury has to judge guilt or innocence, not by opinion, but by whether or not they think the rule of law was applied, or whether or not they think the rule of law was broken. So it's not their opinion of what happened, it's their opinion of whether or not the rule of law was broken. There can be mitigating circumstances, and I'm sure you could probably argue the cases, there's probably judges and whatnot so that they could arbitrate these kinds of situations too. But you have to start with a rule of law. And so this is the rule of law. You carry this to a court, but a tribunal, a judge, a priest, whatever it is, and they could argue their case just like in today, but we have a little more judiciary. Exact same thing, though. You have to have the rule of law to begin with in order to arbitrate whether or not that law was broken. And if the case is like she wasn't crying loud enough, and then like, I don't know, you just, whatever the other circumstances are of the argument, both sides are going to have their argument, and then someone's going to have to adjudicate that case. It's not just like an instantaneous, she didn't cry loud enough, thunder from the sky comes and cracks down and blows her up. It's not, but you have to start with a rule of law before you can get to a judgment on whether that law is true, whether that law was broken. There's consideration that Deuteronomy 22:28 and Exodus 22:16 are linked. So if so, the Exodus reference specifies seduction, implying consent, offered as an explanation. There you go. Amy says, the role of a man in society was to provide for a woman. If she was betrothed, kill the dude. She goes to her husband. If she was not betrothed, he has to pay for her for the rest of his life. That's right. That's true. Then, I don't. Rain, that is a cultural thing, not universal, that someone is worth more than as a virgin. Is there a culture in the history of Earth where that's not the case? No hymen, no diamond. That's funny. I didn't move on to the next point. I said it's wild too. Oh, okay. Fair enough. The David's wives situation was in a matter of prescription versus description. God was absolutely not advocating that. That's right. That was a heck of an interesting. The whole situation with David's wives was showing the beginning decline of Israel. Things continued to get worse for Israel after that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you read Kings and Chronicles, it's just series after series after series of kings who did what was right in their own eyes and not in the eyes of the Lord. I think there's only a handful of kings. It was Hezekiah, Josiah, there was only a handful of kings who did what was right in the eyes of God, like their father David before them, and the rest of them were just what are you gonna do? Oh, I've been lurking here the whole time, secretly. I'm around, just got past Noah's Ark, now to Canaan. I'm at Genesis. Are you just reading your Bible in conjunction with us doing this? Rain says, the harming of innocent bystanders to punish someone else is evil. Rain, what is evil? Also, I'm not sure what you're referencing. That's a harmful stereotype to say that a person must cry out or else it's not great. Look, you have to have a law, right? You have to have a law before you can have a judgment. I think that's a pretty fair, constant law. If you're getting raped, you're screaming. If you're not screaming, if you're not fighting, you're not being raped. Sorry. Especially in a situation where you know that if you don't want to marry this guy and he grapes you, you're permanently married to this guy, right? You have a lot more motivation back then to be screaming and fighting your butt off because you know this is a lifelong situation you're getting yourself into, especially when you're a virgin and you know that in that world, like it or not, your virginity is a highly, highly important and valuable thing. You're not just going to give it up because some guy wants to lie with you. Unless you're a freaking whore. I mean, I heard my name, but I've already resigned to avoid any more theology with you. I don't really see the point. All right, fair enough. Rain, yeah, kind of gross. A couple friends of mine were victims, and they said they were both froze and felt paralyzed. Again, that might be just a very cultural thing. And also, it's a very weird culture we live in now. I mean, I had an ex-girlfriend who how do I phrase this? She just acquiesced to someone because he wouldn't stop. So she just acquiesced. And it's like, well, at that point you're acquiescing. Acquiescence, I don't know. That's a rough spot, and I don't want to be terribly judgmental about it because of the culture we live in now. But if she knew that, oh my gosh, if I acquiesce to this guy, that means I'm gonna have to marry him, I think that'd probably have a little more motivation to fight and be like, no, scream, fight, kick, bite, whatever you have to, right? And I know in that situation, it's not. What else? How else? Okay, let's turn this around on you. How else would you guys, you who don't want to believe the Bible, how would you write that law? And remember the context. We're not in modern day America with freaking the sexual revolution and the blah 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 and all of this stuff. We are in 3,000 years ago. Is it 3,000 years ago? 3,500 years ago, in ancient times when we didn't have anything like the society we have today. You're going to condemn a law that's trying to keep people from raping women, right? And you're going to condemn the law that's trying to keep people from raping women. How are you going to write that law exactly? Tell me, oh, wise atheists in the 21st century, how are you going to write that law? All created existence have their being from him, and we're not only made by him, but I always have their continued conversation by him. Right. It has nothing to do with her crying loudly. It's about her not yelling for assistance. Right. Yeah, it's not crying. It's crying out. If she isn't yelling for assistance or taking it before the judges, the adultery is inferred. Reading through Kings was kind of disheartening. I know. So the biblical mandate is to report your great. Exactly. That's exactly what that is. Chuck says, sorry, I'm quiet today. I'm out enjoying the wonderful day the Lord has blessed us with in Texas. So I'm mainly just listening. We had that wonderful day yesterday. Today is raining and gray. It feels like Portland. That's the way I was understanding it. I couldn't think of a better way to say it like you just did. Thank you. Exactly. Yeah, DJ's not too far from me, so. Disgusting. You don't even know evil when you are staring it in the face. Well, you can't even define evil because you literally have. Oh yeah, you're what was it called again? Ethical somethingist. I don't remember what your little version of morality was, but it's yours. It's not ubiquitous, and it's not truly objective because it's just it really does still boil down to your opinion. The word is sa'ak. The law expects a woman to report the misconduct. Especially seeing how weird the books are women enjoy. I mean, yeah. My friends were raped and their fight-flight response was to freeze. Well, that's not fight or flight, is it? You can say it's not cultural, but I mean, we live in a completely different culture. This has nothing to do with marrying your predator. No, it says if you lay down with them. It literally says if you're forced, then you kill the guy. If you're not forced, you have to marry the guy. I don't. You guys are trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. A mountain out of a molehill. I wouldn't make a stupid law saying that if you scream, you're innocent, and if you don't, you are guilty. That's not the. You understand the difference between the letter of the law and the meaning of the law, Rain? You have to have the letter of the law, but you judge on the meaning of the law. You understand the meaning of this law is that rape is wrong, and that deflowering a virgin means you break it, you bought it. And if it's not deflowering her, but you raped her, I mean, it's deflowering her and you raped her, that's different, right? This is not about rape. This is about deflowering. Because one is force, and the force is rape, and that is a death sentence. You're okay with the death sentence for the rape, right? The sexual revolution was the worst thing to happen to the civilization. Yep. Speculating here, but I would imagine if a woman went to her parents crying out to them, it would constitute her having been raped, i.e. the law would be on her side. Yeah. Yep. And to follow up, if you say, but what if the judges don't see it that way? Bear in mind that That's one of the major reasons Jesus came to us, to show the spirit rather than the letter of the law, and to follow up. If you say, but what if the judges don't see it that way? Bear in mind, that's one of the major issues. Came to us to show the spirit rather than the law. Oh, you just said set. Break it, you bought it. Nice, exactly. I wonder if when someone was sentenced to stoning, if they were given the opportunity to make proper peace with God first, so they don't end up dying in their sin. I mean, probably. It wasn't, I am positive they would be judged first, and it's not like lynch mobs, right? Stoning was just how they carried out executions. It wasn't just always they brought that woman to Jesus. They didn't even have the right to execution in Jesus's day. That had been taken away from them, I think, in 4 BC by Rome. They took away the power of the scepter, the power of life over death. So when they were trying to get Jesus to agree to the woman being stoned, they were trying to get him to do something, first of all, that was against the law, because they weren't allowed. They're like, look, Moses says this, but it's like, bro, you no longer have the right to execution. Rome took that away like 30 something years ago. Lilo says, if a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married and rapes her, and they are discovered, he shall pay her 50 shekels of silver. Okay, which one is that? Because that is a very bad translation. I already told you, lie with her is the word. Sakab. Lie with her. That is not the same word as in literally 2 verses ago when it says forces her, which would be rape. You know there's a difference between those 2 words, right? Lying with someone and forcing someone. I lie with my wife all the time. I do not force my wife. You know what? Force, you rape, believe it or not, requires force, right? See, you don't even like it when you get the answers. Maybe this is why they kicked you out of class, because you don't like the answers when the answers are pretty darn clear and obvious. I guess the question is, if a man gets a woman that's not married to pregnant, what should the law enforce of him? Yeah, isn't that the funny thing? Even in the modern... Oh, gosh, we're over an hour. Damn it. I was really enjoying this. But, alas, I have things to do. If you want to continue this conversation, go ahead and join up in the... Hey, Mike, it's Courtney, Fellowship of Oddballs. Welcome, welcome. Join us in the Discord, and feel free to do I really have to define force again? The word is shazak, to fasten upon, to seize, be strong, obstinate, to bind, restrain, conquer. Is that defined enough? Conquer. And not in a very obviously fasten upon, seize, be strong, which means obviously be strong, which means you're overpowering the other person. Force. Versus, once again, the word in the one you're trying to claim says rape is lie down, rest, sleep. Literally, it's like, what's the difference? Force, seize, overpower, or lie down, rest, sleep. These are 2 different words, Rain. Very, very, very different words. That's why the 2 very different outcomes. The rapist is to be executed. You're okay with that, right? You're not answering the last time I asked. It's not force. Force can mean more than simple physical force. It's coercion of any type. You just don't want to take the loss. I get it. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. I think I proved the point. pretty that's why you go to the original language. Whatever translation you're using where it said rape was just freaking wrong. Sorry. God blesses everybody. We'll see y'all in the next exciting episode of Cross Examination.
Back in line, you dog! On your feet! Get them going!